Alright guys, so welcome back to one of our new series, I guess. And we'll be talking to I don't even want to say interviewing anymore. We'll be talking to one of the greats, you get what I'm saying? One of the greatest motivational speakers in Jamaica today, Jeffrey Azan. I learned a lot from Jeffrey. How I even met him, I was being inaugurated into the National Secondary Students Council, and he was speaking at the inauguration. And honestly, at the time, I was seeking some guidance, some mentors in different sectors. You know that rhyme? And after he spoke, something was telling me, just go over and talk to him. I did just that. When everybody leaves still and he might pack up. I learned that from Les Brown, I think. He said that he went to one of the mentors and, help him pack up. I don't remember who me even learned it from, honestly. And I decided that I was going to go talk to him and give him card from November, December pass. And I was just kind of nervous to, even call the number or text the number on the card. When I did, it was like, I was waiting on you. It's been a while. You get me? And, meet me at this address and thing. I went at the Ragamuffin Cafe. It's in a good place. Check them out. And we spoke and the man gave me like 20 books for read. I read probably 2 out of the 20. But the 2 out of the 20 when we read and the guidance from again, it essentially propelled me to the man who I am today, or it kind of pushed me to become that person. And I had to speak to him. But I did have to make on a meeting, and introduce him to his platform. He has a YouTube channel. You can check him out on Instagram. I'm not sure about Facebook. I don't use Facebook, so I wouldn't know. You get me? You guys can check him out there and see, how you like him. But honestly, the sheep did have to talk to him. Whole conversation. As you say, it's not an interview. I would call it an interview. I'm not Ian Boyne or Emily Shields or none of them people. But we did have to talk. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and honestly, I hope you guys learned something from it. Big up.
Emily Crooks. Emily, whatever. Anyway, when me I say Emily.
Sheiks, welcome back to another episode of Life of a Sheek. And today we have with us a very special guest, top speaker. True story. How I met him was at an inauguration. I saw him. He spoke, eloquent man. The words we must speak touched my heart, and like afterwards I just had to see him. I had to speak with him, and I just had to get a contact for him. And he's a big top speaker. Mr. Jeffrey Azan, how are you doing today?
Very good, sir. I'm quite well, feeling quite well. Happy to be here. Happy to see this project that you're taking on, and I hope I'll be able to add some value for your audience today.
Typical Mr. Jeffrey, sir, adding value as usual. Guys, trust me, I want you guys to take out your books, turn on your ears, and listen. So without further ado, let us begin, but I'll start by offering a word of prayer. Dear most righteous and loving Heavenly Father, as we come before you today, Father God, we give you thanks for another interview, Father God. We give you thanks for, giving Sir Jeff the time and the facilities to be here with us today. We're grateful for this project and for you just blessing us and giving us this opportunity to, bless other youths and guide them or produce, guidance material for them. As we proceed, we ask that this interview runs flawlessly and smooth, and you sow your seed in the hearts of everyone who views it. In Jesus' precious name. Amen. All right. So, Sir Jeff, you ready for the first question?
I'm ready. I'm ready. I'm ready. I think we're off to an unusual start already. This is my first interview where they pray at the beginning of the interview, so this is already very interesting to me.
Yeah, spontaneous, you know. I forgive the most I praise because trust me, this whole thing is just him, you know, honestly. So
Like it.
first question,
Hmm.
you know, we as a member of one of Jamaica's most prosperous families, you know, as well as being we spoke about this, as well as being a fire complexion, you know, in the eyes of the typical Jamaican, you do not
Yeah.
or did not experience any challenges.
Yeah.
So we want you to enlighten us. Tell us about your upbringing. You know, what was your early life like, and the challenges that you experienced. Tell us about them, please.
No, no problem. Yeah, you definitely start off with that's been one of my biggest professional challenges. People often think that motivational speakers or anybody who's coming to talk about motivation have to come from the worst of the worst situations and rise to the highest of the highest situations. And we look to them to be like, well, if they can do it, then I can do it. And because of that, I got a lot of judgment right out the gate when I used to take the stage. People be like, him name Azan, Azan have money in Jamaica. Look upon him not have the same problems I have. I don't understand how he's going to motivate me.
Yeah.
But the reality is, if we're to just look across the board, is it that the low income man, the middle income man, and the high income man don't have problems? Because if you really think like that, then you're beyond ignorant. I really can't say
Hmm.
it
Hmm.
another way.
Yeah.
Because yeah, the low income man, his problem might be food,
Yeah.
and the middle income man, his problem might be education, and the higher income man, his problem might be business. But we're all going to face different problems along the way, and to think that somebody doesn't have problems is it's just ridiculous. Now, in
Hmm.
terms of my particular story, family business, and if anybody's ever worked in family business, one of the first things you learn is that it's not this, oh, you're the boss, son, come sit down. And the truth is, that happens most of the time in corporate settings. I grew up in a retail family. So it wasn't the boss, son. It was, oh, you're the boss, son, so that means you have to do everything. My first work was gift wrapping. So I reported to all of the workers because I was the lowest on the totem pole. And over time, I got promotion to bagger, and then from bagger to store clerk to warehouse worker, etc., etc., etc. Till
So
I
you
got to
went
the
up the
position
ranks like a normal
like
worker.
anybody else. The only difference is that rather than starting, out of school or out of university, I started when I was 9.
Nine?
From I was 9. From I was 9, I didn't know what a full summer or a full Christmas was. Like that never really exists. Like you got a 1 week off in the beginning and a 1 week off at the end. But other than that, you were working and you do that your whole life. So I worked in retail. By the time I changed careers, which I did in my 20s, I'd already worked in retail close to 18 years. So this concept of like, oh, you have it easy. Yeah, in one aspect, there was money around, but my lifestyle had its own challenges. As I said, like I had to work, I had to contribute. This whole, oh, you're just gonna take it easy and enjoy this and enjoy that. They came with a price. I mean, my earliest memories are playing in the warehouse downtown, not
Hmm.
playing in my street, or like I knew downtown probably before I knew myself good, because that's where I spent my time. That's where I was raised. As a teenager, I spent my afternoons at my dad's office or working a trailer. And as a young adult, I was always in a little job here and in a little job there. So the first thing I'd say is that work is just a part of life. Like I know some people who you'd call them like middle income corporate people. They got the education, they get their job, and their kids do nothing. Them
Yeah.
literally just sit down all day, bun game, bun weed, party, whatever. And I used to grudge them. I used to be like, why I can't do that? Like, life not fair. Why I have to work? you know.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, so that was part of it. And then, what spurred me in the whole motivation thing is that, problems don't stop where the dollars start. What caused all of my, I'd say, issues was, like a lot of us, I ended up in a single family household. My dad left my mom, and that spurred a lot of other issues into existence. And one of the key things that happened to me in a direct way is that I had measured myself against my dad growing up.
Mm,
So when he left, I kind of took that as an internal message to say, well, if he can't do it, then there's no way I can do it. And that created this whole idea of self doubt and guaranteed failure, no matter what I touched. And immediately that resulted in me losing the relationship I was in at the time. I started doing extremely poorly in school. I started giving a whole heap of problems. I was still working. In fact, I was working as a security guard at the time. And yeah, I just had this whole self-image that why bother even try, because I'm going to fail anyway. Years later, I can look back on it and I can say, that might be one of our biggest problems with men in Jamaica and possibly in the world, because typically in single family households, it's a mother that is there for the child and the father is nowhere to be found.
yeah.
And you have a lot of men who grow up without that male figure. And sometimes we identify ourselves with that male figure that is absent. Oh, well, if my father couldn't do it, then why am I going to waste my time doing it? If my father couldn't finish school, why I have to finish school? My father have a bag of woman, why I must be any different? And we like to think that we're not connected to them like that. But I found in myself, I was very connected to the fact that he wasn't there. And I can tell you, in my professional career of working with people, young men who don't have a male figure around tend to do that very often as well. They pull strength from their mother, but they also identify their father as a problem. And
Hmm.
they themselves say, kind of accept that, well, I'm going to be a problem as well, even if they don't say it out of their mouth. So I've found that to be the case with a lot. So I had that problem as well. And as I said, that doesn't stop, that problem doesn't stop based on your socioeconomic position.
Yeah.
Um, and then, of course, I think the biggest problem that I had, which I think I share with the vast majority of people, is I never know what I want to do in life. Like, I would say 80% of students have no idea what they want to do. And I fell right in that category. I was I was pretty smart, but being smart didn't mean I should be a doctor. In a lot of cases, you'll have kids like that. Oh, he's bright. You should be a doctor. 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 And that
Hmm.
starts to be the mantra of your family and your parents. But similarly, my parents were like, oh, why don't you try this? Why don't you try that? Why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? And I just couldn't find my way in life. And I think that's the biggest problem all of us as humans share. Not even kids, but as kids, we don't know what we want to do. And then we turn into adults who just take a job in order to survive, but we still don't know what we want to do. And then when we reach retirement or death, we look back on our life and we say, boy, I wish I did those other things. And
Hmm.
so that was also one of the challenges. So yeah, my walk may not be the in the gutter, couldn't find food, and mommy with 7 kids and gunshot a bus all around. But to each their own. Everybody has their own walk, because guess what? There's some people who are in that situation who I've met, and they're ridiculously happy. They are some of the kindest, most generous people I've ever met. So you'd say, hold on, but you came from money. You were in a family with money. You never had those same prejudices. Well, let me tell you, those prejudices exist no matter what level of society you're in.
Really? No? Really?
Oh, trust me. Trust me.
Hmm.
Like, if you don't walk the certain path in that supposedly upper echelon society, if you're not mixing with this person and mixing with that person, and you and this person aren't friends, like, you might as well be an outcast because they don't want nothing to do with you because you're not there playing the political game. And I've never been one to play the political game with them. So I've never really been welcome in those circles unless it's like a close friend who plays the game invite me in. But I'm not going to play the game. I've never been one to play the game. So I was never really accepted in those groups. And as I say, I grew up downtown. I know enough people from upper society will never pass halfway tree yet. I never had that life, you know.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I don't want to sound hypocritical in the sense that, yeah, I never have that problem. I go back to the food thing because that's what a lot of people like to judge suffering as. It's lack of food and lack of water and lack of safety and lack of security.
But it's more than that.
It's so much more than that because guess what? Once you have all those things, then you're looking for, you know, lack of purpose, lack of vision, lack of objective, lack of meaning. You know, a lot of the time you never hear about poor people killing themselves. It's always rich people. And it's don't have nothing to do with them not being able to find food. It has to do with them not finding a reason to be alive. And that's an internal suffering. You know, you don't wear that on yourself. You're not losing weight because of it. Well, sometimes you do, but you get my point. Yeah, so growing up, I had my own challenges in my own way. I had my internal challenges, as I said, that I think we all go through regardless of economic status. And I mean, even if you want to talk about skin, it was a very interesting thing because I was raised downtown and halfway tree and trailer work and all of that, and I wasn't mixing with, you know, you'd call it the high color of society. I was always sort of the odd one in the group. Like, what are you with your do a throwbacks? Him not belong here. But that's what I knew. And that in my child brain, that's what was fun, was being there and throw the box. And then when the trailer done, you go play football or dominoes. And that's what I grew up doing. That's what I grew up knowing. And then when I went to the States, you know, as light-skinned as I am in Jamaica, or even in some Jamaicans as white man in Jamaica, when I landed in the States, they made no apology to make me know that I was a nigger. Like, the man never hitch. My name was like, oh, you're not a white man, you're a nigger. And I was like, wait, what? How am I go from one end of the spectrum to the next end of the spectrum? You know, on a flight. Like, I left Jamaica, white man, and I land in the States, a nigger. Like, not even a black man, not even a Caribbean man. Like, the man them never hitch for make me know that I was a nigger. I was like, hold on. Oh, really? I go on here, so.
Yeah.
And then, you know, I got even more exposure. I got the opportunity to travel. And, you know, I meet with Arab people, and Arab people, despite my family being predominantly Arab, they'd be like, you're not really Arab because you're not pure blood. Okay, so I'm not really an Arab either. And then you mix with the Europeans, and they're like, you're not really European, you're like an immigrant. And I'm like, okay, well, I don't fit in with the Europeans. You got China, well, you're just not Asian at all. So don't even bother trying. And like, there was a point in my life where I genuinely sat down and I was like, but wait, I don't fit in nowhere. Like, everywhere I go, I don't fit in. And, you know, funny enough, as life would have it, I came to realize that very often that's our superpower. Those of us who don't fit in, we're able to bring a certain amount of uniqueness and value to what we do and how we interact and our way that we look at the world that helps to transform things. When you just fit in, I think that's the first element of just becoming, you know what I'm called, a sheep. Oh, I fit in with this group, and I fit in with this society, and I fit in with these ideas. Let me not bother do anything. Let me just stay here in this lane, walk in this path. But I guess because I never fit in, I challenge things a lot in my life, and I am where I am because I never fit in.
I see. I completely understand. You know, coming from all these, I wouldn't say mental challenges, but like emotional challenges that you were experiencing. We know that emotional challenges can affect how you think and how you know, internalize things and all of that. How did you become who you are today? You know, what were your steps to mental enlightenment?
Oh boy, well, I had to change a lot about me, and I had to get around some different people for sure. Boy, the steps I took, trying to recap like 7 years into a couple minutes or thereabout.